squeaking. Wow, the garage has never been so quiet. Now I can hear something squeaking on the roof. Anyways, hey guys, so today I'm gonna give you a little bit of a different video. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the comments. So I'm trying to respond to everybody, and I definitely read all the comments. I read them all the time on my phone when they arrive. They just I just get a notification. Anyway, so I get notified for all the comments, and during the day I read them all. I can't answer right away. So what I do is I take my time every 3, 4, 5 days. I sit on my computer and I go through all the comments since the last time when I did that and try to respond to everybody. But maybe sometimes I'm missing some comments, so this doesn't mean that I never read them. I read them for sure when they came on my phone, but maybe I'm missing them sometimes because there's so many, which is so good. I'm so thankful, guys, that there's so many comments, which means that there's a lot of interest in my videos. I really thank you for that, because that makes me feel so happy. And the other thing is, these maybe 99% of the comments are really nice and really positive about the work that I'm doing. And also I receive a lot of emails and I try to respond to these too. But sometimes, guys, if I miss you, I'm sorry. You are becoming so many, which is a very good thing, but in the meantime I can't be everywhere at the same time doing everything, like being in the shop doing the restorations, and at the same time I have to edit videos and I have to respond to everybody. And I'm trying to, for example, my web page hasn't been updated for the last maybe 6 months. I don't know when was the last time, but for sure it was before I got the GT6, because the GT6 is still in the future projects area, so that needs to be updated. But I'm just trying to explain why sometimes I might not respond to your comment. But for sure I read all your comments and I respond to them in my mind, and just sometimes I might miss putting that in writing, but I'm sorry if that... Okay, that's about the comments. So I just sat on the computer and spent about an hour maybe to answer to maybe the last 60, 70 comments that came for the last, I don't know, maybe 5 days. Most of these comments were about the video on when I completed all the metal work on the GT6 over there, and many of you said I hope when you finish this project you will keep doing other videos because your work is interesting, etc, etc. And that made me realize that the last time I did a project update video was when I had maybe 2,000 subscribers. Now I have 6,000 subscribers. Thank you for that, guys. But I have the feeling that maybe those 4,000 people that subscribed lately, they don't know that there are more projects lying around waiting for me. So I decided to do a project update video. Many of the projects are still at the same stage as they were 6 months ago, but again, I'm gonna make this project update video for those guys who recently subscribed, so they know what is in the hoard and what they can expect in future. So I'm gonna play my intro now, and after the intro we're gonna start looking through all the projects, okay? Hey, look who's here! Okay, and since we were just in front of this project, I'm gonna start from it. Not necessarily any specific order, just that's where I'm gonna start with. Anyways, so this is the 1973 Triumph TR6. This project started as a common project between me and Jake. Jake is the owner of the shop here, I'm just an employee, and he let me use it for my own project, for my Spitfire, but in the meantime he said, why don't we buy this TR6, because it was a good deal, so we bought it. But at some point it turned into a shop project, because there was a period of time in which the shop wasn't busy, so we decided to keep the people busy and gave them this project to work on. So a lot of the things for this project are done already. We have all the interior parts, we have seats done for it, we have many things. So it is a shop project now, so it's going to be done in the work hours during the day by me and other people working here. I'm going to walk around very slowly so I don't shake the camera too much, and I have a lot of things to tell you about this project anyways, so I'm going to have enough time to walk around. You just keep watching at the paint work because it just came back from the paint shop. So for those of you who don't know, the metal work on this car was done by somebody who worked in this shop, but unfortunately he didn't do a very good job. He just covered all the rust, most of the rust with body filler, and we didn't even know. And most of the panels, the fenders, the bonnet and stuff, he just worked on them as they were off the car. And suddenly when we decided to put everything on the car, nothing fitted. And then we realized that he never fitted the panels together. He just covered all the rusty holes with body filler and believed that we will never notice, but hey, we're not that stupid. Anyway, so this person doesn't work here anymore. He got fired. And then I took over, and I took maybe all of the, I went over all of his repairs, removed all the body filler, I did all the metal work required, adjusted all the panels. So basically I started from scratch, and in, I don't know, a couple of months I was done with the metal work, and we sent this car to paint. So when we sent it to paint, it went to a shop which we never used before. We used only once on this car, and they did horrible work. Honestly, I don't know what was wrong with those people, but the job they did on this car was horrible. So anyways, it came back, and we took maybe a couple of months until we decided that we're gonna have to send it to a different shop. We argued with that shop. We wanted to send it back to them for repairs and stuff, but they never agreed with us. So anyways, finally we sent it to a different shop, and but this different shop we also use for our limousines, and we give them a lot of work, and we kept them busy for a long time. So it sat with them for maybe 5 months again, until recently when they managed to find time and they painted it and they gave it back to us. So now this car is ready to be assembled. We'll have to start assembling it, but like I said, now we are very busy, and all the personnel in the shop is busy, but we'll have to start finding time for it, because it just needs a couple of weeks, and then it's gonna be ready to go on the road. Like I said, we have the seats done in tan leather. We have all the interior parts, all the vinyl, all the panels, door panels, everything else is ready for it. So it just needs to be assembled, and we'll go from there. So that's about it. That's about this project. It took already 5 minutes. Wow, we have a couple more projects to go through, but maybe we're gonna do 2 videos. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, this is my Spitfire, 1968 Spitfire, Mark III. It is sitting outside in a container. It's pretty dry, so I'm not worried about it. Plus, it's all rust, and there's almost nothing left of it. I'm sorry I can't show you too much of it, but I decided to come out and show you this one before it gets dark outside. So this is my Spitfire, and there's not much to be said about it. I just bought it because it was very cheap, and I put it in storage here, and apparently one day I'm gonna have to get to it. It's very rusty. The floors are missing, and it's very rusty. Currently there's no engine in it because I pulled out the engine and I rebuilt it, and I put it in my 1966 Triumph Spitfire Mark II, which is restored already, but eventually I'm gonna rebuild the original engine for that car and put it in it, and the Mark III engine that I took out from this one is gonna come back here when this one is ready. So that's the plan about this car. Not much, but it is gonna be when it is gonna be, in a long time anyways. So let's go see some other projects. Alright, next project. Again, there are many projects here, and each and every one has a playlist in my YouTube channel. So if you're new to my channel, you can just click on my name under this video. That's gonna take you to the homepage of my channel, and from there you can click on playlists, and there you will find playlists of videos about each and every car that I'm showing you here in this video. So this is 1974 Triumph TR6. Again, it's a common project between me and Jake, but probably this is going to turn into a shop project too. I don't know, we'll see. But what's the situation with it? We bought it as you see it. The only thing is that the frame was very rusted. It was really rusted. We literally took it out and folded it into, like, it was transparent. You can go and see the videos, you know, see what it looked like. Otherwise the body is not in a very bad shape. It's at least it doesn't show too much rust. There's something showing here which tells me that this area here is rusted, but it might be like Chef Tash's 250, where it didn't show too much damage in the beginning, but when he started working on it, it turned out into a nightmare. So this might be the same, you never know. But anyways, we bought new frame, not new frame, but used frame in a much better shape than the one that it was originally on the car, and it needs some repairs too, but we can deal with that. We have the parts to repair it. I have a jig over there on the shelf to help me repair the frame. What else? We bought new floors, we bought new seals, new inner and outer seals. We bought what else? We have many parts for this car too, and it came with all these parts when we bought it. It came with all these parts here on the shelf, in those containers, and over there it has two heads, so we can turn it into V12 if we want to. And yeah, suspension parts we already took apart, de-rusted and painted in primer, so they need to be painted in the color we decide to. And the engine was taken apart too, so this is its engine sitting on its engine stand, and it needs to be rebored just a little bit. I recently wasn't very busy in January, so I measured the cylinders, and it turns out that they were rebored to over 20, but somebody didn't measure properly, probably, because it is actually not 20 thou over, it's 17 thou over. So it needs 3 more thou to get to plus 20 thou. So for this I have a tool I borrowed from Eugene, which is just for honing, but with it I can hone them to plus 20. Or maybe that was done on purpose, they machined them to plus 17 so they can hone them to plus 20 later, but they never did. Anyway, so that has to be done. Also, when we got it, it didn't have overdrive, so we bought a used gearbox with overdrive that was in unknown condition. So I rebuilt this overdrive, and there's a series of videos about that, how I rebuilt the overdrive, overhauled it. And yeah, that's about it. This project is also, someday we have to put our hands on it, but for now I'm keeping it in one piece, mainly because when I work on the 73 I want to have some example of where the wires go, where everything goes, and especially under the dash. So this is going to be our example, and once the 73 is ready we might start working on this one as well. But again, I'm not making any plans, because usually the plans don't work. Anyways, let's move to the next project. The next project is the 1970 Triumph TR6. This belongs to somebody who was a customer, actually. He came here to, he asked us if we can just repair his frame, because there were some parts were rotten. So we pulled out the body to do that, repaired the frame, and from there, slowly the whole project turned into a complete restoration, which is good. And meanwhile, this customer turned into a colleague, because now he works with us. He's our salesman. His name is John Malone, and he owns this car. And I've done a lot of metal work on it as well. Repaired the frame, like I said. I rebuilt the suspension front and back. Rebuilt the engine. The engine is sitting over there. Oh, wait, that's its engine. And again, it was stout for a while, but now John is pushing on it, so he bought some parts, and he's gonna get it to the paint shop soon to get it painted underneath and inside and in the engine bay and everywhere. Then he's gonna bring it back here, and we're gonna assemble it, everything, seats and engines and stuff like that. And then he's gonna take it back to the paint shop, and they're gonna paint the exterior. That's how he decided to proceed with this car. So there's I don't know, 10, 12, 14, I don't know how many videos about this car in its own playlist. So again, go to the playlists and look for the 70 TR6. You can find all these videos, including the engine rebuild. So that's about this project. I'm sorry I can't show it, I can't uncover it, but it is covered with a lot of stuff which I don't want to move. Anyways, you can go to the video, to the playlist, and watch videos about it. It is interesting. Moving to the next one, which I think we should go to the last one, which is not restored yet, because there are two more projects which they are not projects anymore because they are restored. And I'm going to talk about them later, so let's move to the GT6. So here I don't need to tell you much, because probably most of you are already familiar with this car. It was donated to me by Keith Edgington, which I'm so thankful about. I don't have words to say how much. And yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the past of this car. I'm going to talk a little bit about the future of this car. So as you know, the metal work is now all done, except the battery box over there. So the battery box is ordered now, and soon it's gonna come, but that's like what, 10 minutes work to install the battery box. So that's the last of the metal work, and after that I'm gonna keep going with something else which I haven't decided yet. And there are a couple of options here. First of all, I have to go back to the rear suspension and do some stuff, like I have to put thrust washers and stuff like that. So that's not done yet on the suspension. I have to do that. I have to take out my front suspension and rebuild and pack the bearings in grease, because the last time I did it, I actually didn't know how to do it, and Bob Adams, who is one of my followers, told me that I didn't do it right and showed me how it needs to be done right. So then I realized that I was doing it wrong for years. Anyway, so I still have to go back and do that. And that's about the suspension. I have to take out the differential and change all the seals and the oil in it and make sure that everything is fine with it. I have to rebuild the engine. Actually, I have to take it apart. According to Keith, it wasn't running bad. It was running very well, actually, but it was sitting for the last 30 years. So I will take it apart at least to measure and to clean up all carbon and stuff like that from valves and here and there, and make sure that everything is fine. If I have to replace something, I'm going to replace, or if there are some sloppy tolerances, I'm going to rebuild the whole engine if I have to. I also got, maybe some of you know, some of you don't, I got a new transmission with an overdrive, D-type overdrive, sitting over here. I never got chance to test it, so I have to put that on the stand and test it and see if everything is okay with it. And that's one way to go with the mechanics, with the differential, with the transmission, with the engine, etc. The other way which I could take from here is to do all the body work. And it's not much, but it's not a little, because if you watched my last 20 videos probably, or 30 videos, you will hear me saying, a little bit of body work and it's gonna be okay. Then working on another place and again, a little bit of body work here and it's gonna be okay. Okay, but now the time for this a little bit of body work comes, and we will see that this a little bit here, a little bit there adds up to a lot of body work, and that's something that I'm not very good in. So I'm gonna have to be very careful, and it probably is gonna take me time. So I'm guessing this is the route that I'm gonna take. I'm gonna start working on the body work, because I want to leave the easy work for later, for last. And of course I have to do all the interior, but that's something that I'm looking forward to, because I love doing interior work. So that's about this project. We will see which way I'm gonna take from here. Tomorrow I have to come. Still, the first thing, I know what's the first thing that I have to do. I have to bolt the body properly on the frame, put the doors on, put the hood on, and make sure that everything fits and the gaps are good, and then we're gonna go from there. So that's about this project, and let's see now what else do we have. Okay, so this beauty here is 1964 TR4. It is with the solid rear axle, and it's not a TR4A, it's TR4, and it belongs to Jake. Jake is the owner of the shop here. So it was restored by somebody else, by many other people actually working in this shop before I came. But ever since I came, 4 years ago I think, more than 4 years now, I came in this shop. Ever since I came, I did a lot of work on it, so I consider it also one of my projects, even though I didn't do the whole restoration. So what I did is recently I rebuilt the overdrive, because somebody else again rebuilt it 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and did a horrible work, and actually he ruined it, so I had to take it apart and rebuild it. And a year ago maybe I rebuilt the engine, so it is in a very good shape. It was ever since it was restored, maybe I don't know how many years ago, but it's been driven for not more than 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers, because it's been sitting here covered in the shop, and Jake doesn't use it too much, but it is a beautiful car. The interior has been done here by somebody else, not by me, but it is all custom made with red piping, beautiful interior. A rear bench seat has been added to it, which is very interesting. Once I had 2 kids inside. I had me, my wife, my son, and a friend of his, and we fit very nice in the car, 4 people. At some point it was for sale. Then Jake decided to keep it, and he doesn't sell it anymore. But yeah, that's one of the projects. And there's one more project, but that's my Triumph Spitfire, and that's my 66 Spitfire, but it is at home actually, in my underground garage in the building that I live in. And actually, yeah, I might take the camera with me, and I'm gonna show it to you. So this is my 66 Triumph Spitfire. Like I said, I borrowed the engine from my 68 Spitfire and rebuilt it and put it in this car, but I actually have to rebuild the original engine of this car and put it back here, and this engine is gonna go back to the 68 Spitfire when it gets restored. What about it? It's sitting here in my underground garage because there's not too much room in the shop for that, and it's all dusty, but I prefer to keep it dusty. I don't want to clean it all the time because that might scratch it. I don't want to put cover on it because there's a lot of moisture here in this garage. It's pretty humid actually. Maybe 3 weeks out of the last 4 everything here was wet, but literally wet. So I'm not really happy about it being here, but there's no other choice. Maybe for the next winter I'm gonna have to find another solution for storage, because here it is really humid. So that's why I don't want to put cover on it, because even when it dries outside, it's gonna remain, all the moisture is gonna remain trapped under the covers. So I prefer to keep it open. It's fine. It's all this dust is actually protecting it from, I don't know from what, from more dust. Anyway, so what's the story about this car? I bought it in 2015, end of 2015, so it's 2.5 years ago. I restored it in 11 months. That was my first restoration, so I didn't do a very good job, I guess. There were many things that I would do differently if I was doing it now, but anyways, that was my learning job. I didn't do the bodywork and I didn't do the paint job. Somebody else did, and at the time I thought it was beautiful because I didn't know anything about bodywork. I did a little bit, I did a little part of it, but then this other guy corrected everything that I did, and I thought he did a very good job, but actually he did nothing. Now when I look at the car, I really regret that I gave it to him to do it. Maybe I should have learned and I should have done it myself, but anyways, like I said, this is my learning job, and it's a car that I'm gonna keep. It's not a car that I'm gonna sell anyways, so it's not perfect, but it's mine and I'm happy about it. So if you want to watch more about it, you can go and visit the channel. You can go and visit the playlist. It has about 37 videos, or I don't know how many, but most of them are about the restoration, but actually the last 6-7 videos are about how I'm enjoying the car, maybe. So you can go and watch those, and yeah. So that's the last project that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so you see, we have a lot of projects. For those of you who are new to my channel, maybe that was a surprise, maybe you knew too, I don't know, but when I read last comments, I remained under the impression that some of you guys don't know that there are more projects on the horizon. So even if I finished the GT6 tomorrow, which is impossible, probably it's going to be another 6 months before it's done, if I stay on it, because now I have to work on this car as well at some point. But even if it was done tomorrow, you see there's so many projects. So this channel is not only about the GT6, it's about all these projects and maybe more, who knows. So I'm happy I did another update. I never told about another update because honestly there was, for most of the projects I actually didn't move at all for the last 6 months. So that's why I didn't consider doing an update, but actually it was needed because now all of you know that there are more videos coming. So yeah, thank you guys for being there. 6,000 is a big number. Maybe 2,000 of you are active subscribers, because I don't know, I don't see a video with more than 2,000 views on it. So this means that actually I have one video which has 1.6 million views now. I'm happy about that video. I'm gonna leave it to you to find out which video is that, but 1.6 million views on one video. I'm a star. Anyways, I'm joking. So thanks for being there for me, guys. Thanks for all your nice comments, thanks for all your positive comments, and I want to thank you so much, guys, that you're there for me and for everything. Thank you so much, guys.